What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you our first profile update thanks to the Banlist. Now while everyone is clambering around showing you the best branded build in the world, I've decided to go down a different route and show you one of my favourite decks in the form of Thunder Dragons. That's right, Thunder Dragons got a very small update, but also the last time I updated this profile was back in April when Colossus came to 1, now it's at 2. So I've kind of made a different build on this particular deck. The other thing about this as well is it could be a very, very good 60 card version if you wanted to, because that grass that's greener has come back. If you were to do something like that, the additional 20 cards you'd be looking for would be more mill cards or just generally more banished cards. And you can also put in one of the alternate engines within the deck. Now when I mention alternate engines, what I mean by that is you have a lot of different options you can play. You can play the Bestials, you can play the Chaoses, you can play more of the Nemesis as well. So you've got loads of different options that you can play around with this deck. This particular version is less so about the Chaos cards and now more so about the Bestials, as I didn't feature them in the previous build, so I thought I'd give you the best of both options so that there is a definite bigger upgrade and an update in comparison to the two builds, but you can still use the last build that I showed you as an alternative option as well. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. Diving headfirst into the profile, we'll start off with the Thunder Dragon monsters themselves, and of course you are going to be playing with triple Thunder Dragon. Now the reason this card is even more important than it was previously is because it can now no longer just get you one Colossus, it can help you get into a second Colossus. So the best thing about Thunder Dragon is it is the main one in the hand that you can discard it in order to gain 2 more copies of itself, so you do technically +1 card in your hand advantage, but you can also use this effect multiple times. So if you wanted to and you already had a preset Titan or you're going second, you can actually discard a Thunder Dragon, set up a Titan and then discard a second Thunder Dragon to get the third Thunder Dragon, and that will trigger Titan to pop a card. The other one that we are playing at 3 now is triple Thunder Dragon Raw. You'll probably cut this down if you wanted to, but in my opinion this is the best one to be hitting off of a card like a Law of Darkness. Nothing felt as good than when you see this card plus a Loof Lupine or this card plus a Law of Darkness in your hand. It's absolutely amazing. Then of course you do play double Thunder Dragon Dark, so these are the only two, so you've got Thunder Dragon Dark and then you've got Thunder Dragon Matrix, are the only two that are quick effects, meaning that because they are quick effects you can activate them during your opponent's turn, and in doing so will be able to trigger the effect of Titan. Remember that Titan is a when effect, so it can miss timing, but just being able to pop a card your opponent controls is really, really powerful. The last Thunder Dragon monster we play is the one Thunder Dragon Hawk, as of course this is the one that you can discard to bring back any of your Thunder Dragon monsters, and then you go wham bam thank you ma'am, turn it into Colossus. Moving on to the Bestial engine, now you should probably be playing 3 of the Lubellians. I couldn't find my third copy, but the idea is of course you are playing 3 because you want to get direct access to as many of your Bestials that you possibly can. So the ones we're going to be trying to get into is our Magnamute, as it is sadly at 1. We've got our Saronir, which is of course our Foolish Berry, and then of course you do have the 2 Druid Swarms. So these technically count as hand traps for you, but the best thing about these is you can actually use them to banish your own Thunder Dragon monsters during your opponent's turn, and then trigger off their effects again. So you can use their discard effects, and that's how you're going to be able to set yourself up into Colossus, but then during your opponent's turn you activate either your Magnamute, Druid Swarm or Saronir to banish a Thunder Dragon from the graveyard, triggering the Thunder Dragon's effect after it is all resolved, and that will then either allow you to chain block your Bestial on the board or chain block your Thunder Dragon that has been banished, and then of course get that additional bonus, whether it be off of the back of Thunder Dragon Dark or Thunder Dragon Raw, heck, even Thunder Dragon Hawk to reshuffle your hand and get you a fresh new hand as well. The last branded card that we do play is branded Regain, and the reason that this is so important is because this can allow you to recycle some of your banished Thunder Dragon monsters as well. So you'll be able to go something like Regained activated, activate Saronir, banish a Thunder Dragon Dark. On a new chain, you'll then be able to go like Chain Link 1 Thunder Dragon Dark, Chain Link 2 Saronir, Chain Link 3 Regained, put it back into the deck. Sorry, Magnamute is probably the better example to get that Chain Link 2. But the idea is you can kind of see where we're going here. You're recycling your materials while also then getting a draw and resetting everything else that you might need in between. For our main normal summon of the deck, and the best thing about this deck is because all of the other monsters don't really rely on being your normal summon, when you hit the side deck, if you're struggling to break board, you can very easily go with Lava Golem in the main deck. The only issue is you need to be able to clear it off, which you don't want to be leaving a 3k boss monster on your opponent's board when you're going to be trying to set up a 2600 mini boss monster in Colossus. Keep that in mind, but the best thing about it is you can very easily tag out your go first normal summons for your go second normal summon in the form of Lava Golem, and our go first normal summons are going to be triple Aloof Lupine and double Batteryman Solar. Now I fully understand some people do like to play 3 and 2 or 3 and 1. You can mess around with the ratios as you see fit. My personal opinion is Aloof Lupine gives me a little bit more to the deck than the other ones do. The reason this is so important is this one allows you banish a monster from your hand as cost. So this can help you trigger off your Dark or your Raw, even if this does get negated. If it doesn't get negated, you're going to be banishing the one from the hand and then banishing one from the deck, straight away triggering off 2 Thunder Dragon effects, ideally a Dark and a Raw, which is going to get you a Search for a Hawk and then a Summon of a Matrix. So straight away you could activate the Hawk, get yourself into a, bring back a Dark or a Raw, and then you have the ability to turn one of those cards that you've summoned out to go into a Colossus. Happy days. Obviously, Batteryman Solar acts as a Foolish Berry. You could very easily consider the Dark Arm Knight, the Dark Knight, because that's now recently come back to free. And the best thing about that is, again, that will act as a Foolish Berry, but the benefit of when you're looking at everything like that is you're not just treating Batteryman Solar as a Foolish Berry, you're treating it as a Foolish Berry and then the ability to spawn a Thunder token as well. So the idea is that these two will clash if you see them both in the hand. The difference is this is only on normal, whereas this is on normal or special, should you get a way to get it out. It really is up to you on your normal summon engine. Like I said, you can go for a Go second build and play Lava Golem instead. You can very easily bump your Solar Man to 3, the Loof Lupin down to 1. It will come down to personal preference of which one you feel is more effective for your playstyle than the other. The next engine we are playing is the Nemesis Engine, so we are playing 3 Flag and the 1 Corridor. You'll see that I'm not playing Protoss or Eschatos in the main deck, and that's purely because it is a go second side option. Now, I'm not siding as you're going second, but you'll side it in when you're going first. Yes, it's a great card to be able to search out during your first turn, but you need to know exactly what your opponent is playing. If you know what your opponent is playing, absolutely fine, you want it in your main deck and they let you go first, they're probably going to be on Tempai. But the idea is that I felt that this engine can still be incredibly good in the main deck because it can still act as additional extenders to help me go into link climbs. And of course, Nemesis Corridor is a Thunder monster that can activate in the hand. So you can use Corridor, put back one of your banished Thunder Dragon monsters, put this to the board, turn this straight into a Colossus. Happy days, you've got very quick and direct access to it. Now, on the flip side of that, when you're going to be putting in your Eschatos and everything else like that, once you know what they're playing, that's when you're going to be able to target them a lot more specifically, and that's when you're going to put in a bit more use to you, rather than having this big boss monster that is, yeah, okay, cool to have, but if you're trying to blind call every single time, it's not really going to be that effective for you. So I use these as extenders. It's too much of an engine to be siding in and out, like mainly siding it out, in from your side deck to the main deck. So you might as well keep it in there, as it still will provide you with usage, because obviously Flag will get you Corridor and everything else in between. The only hand trap of the entire main deck, bar the bestials that we play, is triple D-Shifter. Now, the reason that we utilise this is it is technically still an auto win con against some matchups, and the best thing about it is because it is a dark, when you do ditch it to the graveyard for a bestial, you could technically bestial banish it out and then drop a second shifter if you wanted to, but the idea is that when you're dropping a shifter on your opponent, you're ideally making them skip their turn, and that's when your Thunder Dragons can start being banished and triggering off their additional effects should you need to as well. The last monster that we play is the 1 Metal Tuna, and we're going to be playing this up with 3 emergency teleports. Now, the reason the Metal Tuna is so good for this deck is it gives you the ability to put back some of your banished cards to the graveyard or banish cards from your graveyard. So you get to activate one of the following effects to banish up to 1 light and up to 1 dark monster from your hand and or graveyard to increase or decrease this card's level by the exact number banished until the end of this turn. You can, if instead, choose to target up to 2 of your banished monsters, 1 light and 1 dark, and then return them to the graveyard. And if you do, you increase or decrease this card's level by the exact number. Now, the best thing about that is because it is a Psychic and a Tuner, you can summon it off of the back of E-Telly. It will give you access to get into some other additional really cool synchro plays, especially when you're playing the Bestials. If you were to just go E-Telly this and then put back 1 light or 1 dark, or banish 1 light or 1 dark, you put this to a level 4, straight away you can go into a Bestial Dispatter, and that's how you're going to be able to put back the other card, as well as setting yourself up with either a negate or a form of disruption. For the last of the spell cards, we are playing triple Allure of Darkness. Like I said before, if you activate this and you already have a Thunder Dragon Dark or you Thunder Dragon Raw in the hand, or you draw into a Raw or a Dark, being able to banish it off is absolutely insane, because you're going to draw these 2 new cards, you're going to banish a Thunder Dragon Raw or a Dark, and then you're going to be able to trigger their effects to get you that next piece that you might need. We've then got 2 Thunder Dragon Fusion, followed up by the 1 Gold Sarcophagus. All pretty straightforward and simple on these ones. They are pretty much utility cards for everything you need to. Thunder Dragon Fusion is mainly going to be getting you into your Thunder Dragon Titan, because in order to get into your Thunder Dragon Colossus, you do need to spin back specifically 2 of the OG Thunder Dragon. It can happen, it does happen, so keep that in mind. The only way you can do that is by putting back 2 of the OG Thunder Dragons, but the idea is you have this to get you into your Titan or Colossus, and it also has that very cool graveyard effect to banish it and then search you out a Thunder Dragon monster. However, it needs to be done the next turn, not the same turn you activate the fusion play. And then of course you've got your Gold Sart to banish a card from the deck, so banish a Dark, banish a Raw, and off you go. So that's it for the entire main deck. Now moving on to the extra deck. So now to have the Mac Daddy himself, well, mini Mac Daddy, Titan's probably the main Mac Daddy. Back to 2 is Thunder Dragon Colossus. Now in the past you had to be a little bit more careful with Colossus because it was like, okay cool, first Colossus dies, I've got nothing more to do, I need to recycle it back, it's a little bit more hectic. Now you have the ability of getting both of these on the board and being able to go from one into the other. So you stop your opponent searching, they go, kill it, and they go, okay cool, make another one. Now, the best thing about this is, yes, with D-Shifter, we're not really focusing on completely banishing everything. You could, of course, play D-Fissions and DDGs and everything else in between if you wanted to. But the idea is you can still set this up with that Thunder protection in the graveyard, and you're not always going to open up D-Shifter. But when you do open up D-Shifter, you'd be foolish not to use it because the card is incredibly cracked, and it was left at free. So. And then for your Mac Daddy boss monsters, you've got 2 Thunder Dragon Titans. The fact of the matter is, as long as you have a second, you can always recycle the first for the second. You just need to have the second to do that. So playing 2. And then moving on to the Synchros before we move on to the links. So for the Synchros, we play the 1 Chaos Beast. Now, if you have never seen this card before, it is amazing. It does require a level 3 tuner and a level, well, not a level 3 tuner, but it requires a light tuner and then 1 or more non-tuner dark monsters. Now, keep in mind, with the Mental Tuner, what makes it so good is you can actually manipulate its level to increase or decrease its level. So you actually have the ability to manipulate it as you see fit. Now, the reason for that, to get into your Chaos Beast, and the reason Chaos Beast is so important, is if any card or cards has been banished this turn, it gains 1000 attack. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. You get to target one of your banished light or dark monsters and add it to the hand, so you get to recycle some resource. And then during your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you get to banish a light and or one light and 1 dark monster from the hand or graveyard, except this card and special summon it. So again, you get to then banish one of your Thunder Dragon monsters, trigger their effects, summon back a level 6, which can then open up the door to go into a light and dark Chaos Angel, which is absolutely insane. Or you could work your way up into the Chaos Archfiend. This one again specifically requires a light tuner, and the only tuner we are using is of course the Metal Tuna. It does require a non-tuner dark monster, which again is bountiful plenty because you do play the Bestials, which are level 6 darks as well. And then if any card or card has been banished this turn, it gains 2000 attack, and it can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. But you banish any monster destroyed by battle with this card. If this card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you get to special summon a Chaos Synchro monster from the extra deck, except itself. And the other Chaos monster you can special out of the extra deck will of course be Angel. Now, one card you could choose to play instead of playing any of these, or if you wanted to do as an alternative or in an addition, if you weren't playing the Bestials, because we are playing Bestial Dispatter, is of course the Virtual World Shen. And the reason you would do that is because Shen says any monster sent from the field to the graveyard is banished instead. That's obviously only going to be useful for you when you are tributing off one of your Thunder Dragon monsters to go into Colossus, and then you'll be able to trigger said Thunder Dragon monster's effect. Chances are you probably would have already triggered their effect at one point or another, and you can only use their discard or their banish effect that turn. But it does kind of give you an option that you can put down this Shen mini bit of a towers, not mini towers, but a mini bit of a floodgate on your opponent. So if your opponent is playing a build where they can't deal with a Shen, it's definitely an option that you could look into adding in. And another one you could swap out for it instead if you wanted to is of course the Chen Ying. The reason I went with the Chen Ying is we love to banish cards. So this one gains 100 attack and defense, and your opponent loses 100 attack and defense for each monster, each card banished. Then on top of that is if a card is banished, you get to target, or not even target, you get to banish 1 card from your opponent's field and 1 from their graveyard. And then if it would be destroyed by a card effect, you get to banish a card from the graveyard instead. So it lets you banish any card, it'll let you trigger off your Thunder Dragons again, and it is just an insanely powerful boss monster that makes everything your opponent controls weaker and everything you control stronger. And then for the link monsters, of course, we've got the 1 Relinquish Anima. You're literally only going to be turning Matrix into this if you need to. The 1 Reaperdonkus, this obviously comes into play with the Eschatos from the side deck, because you summon it out, you put it to a zone that Reaperdonkus points to. Reaperdonkus will then change its type, so you'll then be able to change it into fire, pyro, thunder, dragon, fiend, you name it, and then use Eschatos' effect to attempt to destroy itself, call in fiend, which will then lock your opponent out of whatever they are playing. And then for our other Link 2 monsters, you've got your IP Masquerena, which will lead you into your SP Little Knight. And then, of course, you've got Moon of the Close Heavens, which will help you lead into an Underworld Goddess. Now, obviously, the biggest loss that we got from this list is we lost Appaloosa, which does mean that the deck needs to be a little bit more controlled and a little bit more resourced, which is why we are playing the Bestials. Because what this will give us the ability for is to go, okay, cool, I feel if I put a Thunder Dragon on the board with a Titan or a Colossus with a Titan, my opponent will struggle to play. If I do that and they go Nibiru, you go, okay, cool, now I'm just going to go down my Synchro plays or my Bestial plays. You want to make sure you don't go everything into one route. Yes, of course, your Chaos Angel can help protect you from parts of the Nibiru as well, so that's something you do need to consider when you're putting it together. But that is it for the entire profile. I'm so happy that Colossus is back to 2. If it does come back to 3 on the next list, well, happy days, Thunder Dragons is back to what I believe is full power. So I really do like Thunder Dragons. It was one of my first decks that got me a top at a regional. I ended up playing Dino Thunder, which I really did enjoy back in the day. I think the game's a little bit different now that a deck like that might not be able to fully function in the way you want it to. But that being said, when you were ending your board on something like a Colossus plus a UCT, those were the days where that was the board to break. Now it's like Apo plus 7 in hand, plus 8 along the back row. Well, minus the Apo, now we don't need to worry about that. But still, the idea is there. Anyway, I hope this is giving you a couple of ideas on your own build. I hope it's giving you a refresh of this. Like I said, I feel that everyone's going to be clambering around to be like shoving branded builds in your face saying, branded fusion to 1 is not a big issue. The deck is still the best deck in the world. I thought I'd go with Thunder Dragons to give you something a little bit different. I will be doing a branded update just for you to see it, but I'll do that a little bit later on down the line. I don't think you need to be flooded with 101 branded videos. I thought you might want to see the diamond in the rough that is Thunder Dragons. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Any questions at all, comments down below. Always happy to answer them for you. But for now, as absolutely always, stay safe and of course, happy dueling.